Hey, good morning to you. It is Tuesday, the 18th. Hey, you listen to Oslo Smash Bros. Radio, the only digital radio station in Jefferson County, Birmingham. Award winning. If you have not done so, please share, follow, and like Smash Bros. Radio. Likewise, I'm Oz. You can find me on practically every media that's out there. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Even have a YouTube channel which I'm trying to get up and running. But it is whatever it is. Hey, we're starting early today because we're going to have my law professor, as I call him, Mr. Charles Brooks, who is the Chief Legal Counsel for National SCLC. And I appreciate him so much for coming on and giving insight to what is happening. So we're going to get started early so that way I can get the announcements out of the way. And when he can find time to call in, we're going to get straight into it. We're going to talk about what is transpiring, what is happening down in Florida with the judiciary system. So there's a lot of confusion going on with, what exactly is going on, especially when it deals with Trump. So Mr. Brooks is going to come on and try to explain exactly what is going on. And I have to give him a huge shout out because he's always been there for me. Mr. Brooks would come when I was teaching. Huffman High School was the only high school in the 7th Congressional District that will compete in We the People program, the mock congressional hearing We the People program from the Center for Law and Civic Education. And so Mr. Brooks would come in on Saturdays and he would test and he would drill and he would teach the students on how to debate and give them information. Those of you who are not familiar with the mock congressional hearing, it is from the Center for Law and Civic Education, and it is a fantastic organization that deals with giving an understanding to the next generation when it comes to the constitutionality of their rights and all and the history. So I appreciate him tremendously because he's always taken time out of his busy schedule to come on and to answer the questions that I have especially when it comes to what is transpiring now. So again, I shout out to Charles Brooks, the Chief Legal Counsel for National SCLC, because I appreciate him because he has a lot on his plate, and for him to take time out of his time to come on, I'm deeply indebted to him. So tonight, Fall Festival, October 18th from 6 to 8:30 p.m., Pleasant Grove High School, 100 Spartan Drive, Pleasant Grove, is free admissions, inflatable, face painting, food trucks, live entertainment. It's hosted by the one and only City Councilor K.D. Dunn, who has a show after this one called Dun 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 It. So please, if you need some activities tonight, please come out to Pleasant Grove High School. It starts at 6 p.m., lasts till 8:30 p.m. 2022 Pleasant Grove's Fall Festival. So please come out and have some fun and meet and introduce yourself to Counselor Dunn. Also on Thursday, October 27th, October 27th from 6:30 to 11 p.m. Be Heard Music Conference 2022. You have panel discussions, live performances, meet record labels, get live industry interviews hosted by Yaz Baby. Come meet and network with other major record labels, podcasters, radio stations, producers, as well as DJs. It take place over at Workplace at 520 3rd Street, Birmingham. To register, to perform, to sponsor, or to be a vendor, you can contact, let me see if I can read this. You can contact 386-341-3218. Once again, 386-341-3218. 386-341 3218 if you wish to be a sponsor or a vendor, or if you wish to perform. So please, listen. If you're just starting into the business, and if you want to make contacts, and if you want to connect with individuals who have an expertise in the music industry, this is a place to go. This is a place to pop up and show exactly. It is being presented by Dan Quang and Dogman Entertainment. So please come out. Please come out. Workplay, 523rd Street South, number 103. So please come out. So, you got the Bessemer Stop and Go, Saturday, October 22nd, 2823 Dartmouth Avenue, Bessemer, Southside Day, the big Bessemer Way. So for vendor contact, you can contact 205-370-5265 or 205-920-6963. So please come out. That is October 22nd, Saturday. So please come out and support. So while we're waiting on Mr. Brooks to call in, there is a lot that is transpiring that is causing some history to be created and some understanding when it comes to the judiciary system. And so we still have the best system that's out there, but of course there's changes that are required. There's some things that that we feel that are illegal, but technically they aren't. Morality comes into play, and sometimes morality is trumped by, and I hate that word, is overruled when it comes to the legal standing, when it comes to what does the law say. So I appreciate Mr. Brooks coming in and giving his expertise on exactly, and especially the historical significance of what is transpiring. So it's going to be interesting to find out what the outcome is going to be once the dust is settled. Nowhere in the history, even with the Teapot Dome scandal, has anything of this depth has occurred in our history. But likewise, you have to keep in mind that when you compare our country with the countries over in Europe, our country is still relatively a young country. We do not have the standings, nor do we have the experience that Europe has. The only time that we have really experienced any type of travesty was during 9/11. And that was the only time that we experienced something some close to what Europe experienced, especially during World Wars I and II. So we are blessed in a lot of ways. Likewise, we are cursed in a lot of ways also. So it didn't help matters that COVID came about and put us on a fast forward track of what we are experiencing now. Usually in history, a generation will experience some type of upheaval or a monkey wrench or something come transpiring. This generation, we've experienced it where it's sort of like a domino effect. You had COVID, then you had the monkeypox, then you had all this other stuff to transpire. And again, as I've stated earlier, if the situation with COVID had been handled properly and correctly, we would not possibly be in the predicament that we are in now. There was a guidebook, sort of like a black book, that had been created by President Obama. Very few people understood or know that he had to deal with three pandemics, and because of him having the knowledge, having the courage to handle it properly, and to allow the scientists in the medical field to do their job, he was able to handle it so that way it did not affect us to the degree that COVID did. If Trump had utilized that book and then taken credit, then we would not be in the predicament that we are in. It is still somewhat frightening that you have, I think, 4 to 5 candidates that Trump is backing that or people are still considering voting for. And it is even more frightening when you have an example of governors like governor of Texas and Florida, and then of Georgia, to have the backing that they do. And then when you couple it with the Senate race in Georgia, and then you still have individuals that are still going to vote for Herschel Walker, that should send some type of signal, some type of flag and warning to us that we are still in the midst of turmoil. And whether or not we wish to face the fact or not, indirectly, this is going to affect us. That is why it is most paramount. This is why it's most important that in November, all eligible voters get out and they vote their conscience. That's one reason why yesterday I mentioned that Tara Dorsey, who is the executive director of BEAT, is coming up with a BEAT is Bethel Inslee Action Task Incorporated. And so Tara Dorsey, who is the executive director, is trying to come up with a massive voter registration drive. And so I'm pleading that all organizations, Greeks, non-Greeks, professional, non-professional, all institutions come together and to have this one huge, massive voter registration drive. It can be done. There are individuals who have promoted, who are Mrs. Cynthia Donald is doing a voters drive, who is an advocate, who is always active in her community. And so there are individuals out there who have the expertise on knowing how to organize quickly and efficiently and effectively a voters drive. So if you will, please take the time and call Tara Dorsey. Her number is 205-780-4397. Once again, the office is 205-780-4397 or 205-381-6032. So it is a necessity. It is paramount that we understand what the assignment is, and the assignment is getting those individuals who are eligible to vote to be registered to vote, as well as those individuals who are registered to know exactly where they are to go to vote, as well as what are the requirements to vote. What type of documentation do you need to vote? We do not need any type of confusion. We do not need any type of misunderstanding or miscommunications when it comes to this election coming up in November. This election in November is going to dictate how far progressively we advance, or how backwards progressively we go backwards. When you have a party that has pretty much dictated openly, blazingly, boldly telling us what they're going to do, we need to heed it. And they told us automatically what they're going to do with Roe v. Wade, and they've done that. Now they claim that it's supposed to be states' rights. Now, if it's states' rights, then why all of a sudden are certain Republican senators trying to make it a national law that abortions are illegal? So see, you have that topsy-turvy. And you have to understand the history of what is transpiring. you have these WASP, you have these white Anglo-Saxon Protestant old men who are trying to maintain their control, and they're understanding that their control is slowly uh, eroding. They do not have the power that they once had. And so they're trying to maintain that position as long as they can. So it is left up to us, those of us who are eligible, those of us who are capable, to make sure that everyone who wishes to vote has has the necessary receipt, so that way they can vote, as well as transportation. So once again, please, please, it is most dire that we have this huge voter registration drive. If you are in the music industry, Birmingham is saturated, richly saturated, blessed beyond divinely when it comes to the music, when it comes to professionals. As I stated many times before, Birmingham has its own spice. It has its own type of music that can transcend and can also erupt and take over where the others have tried. And so we have an abundance of producers, electricians, engineers, uh, beat masters. So if there's some way that you can correlate some type of gathering, food trucks, vendors, if you could come up with some type of location to where everyone can come out in one big, huge voter registration drive, that would be enormous. And then that way we could pretty much come up with how organized on how to get the individuals to the proper precincts that they are needed to go to. So we are living in a chaotic type of situation that could get worse, believe it or not. But it's left up to us to make sure that we have done due diligence when it comes to making sure that our voices are heard. With what is transpiring with Trump, Trump has taught us that is when you have money, you have power. And it is his habit, it is his ritual to prolong and to throw monkey wrenches and curves and boomerangs in, so that way he's never brought up on charges, or he's never had to go to court, because he has this saturation of lawyers that can prolong the proceedings from transpiring. But now, and everyone knew what his antics, what his tricks were. Now his tricks and his antics aren't working to his advantage, because I think that everybody pretty much is tired of his foolishness. So it is most important that we take the time and we get our ducks in a row, so that we can combat whatever is thrown at us. Also, keep in mind that the state of Alabama has a case before the Supreme Court that dealing with the districting, the congressional districts, the redrawing of the map, congressional map. The Republicans wish to keep it gerrymandering, so that way we have one black congressional district, whereas because of our black population, we should have two black congressional districts. Once you have understood the method of gerrymandering, you understand why most of the states are red, because they have cut out, they have maneuvered so that way they have weakened the votes of the black and brown people. So it is most important that we heed and we pay close attention to what is transpiring now. So it's left up to us to make sure that everything is done correctly and properly. This November election is going to be most pivotal, especially when it comes to the middle class individuals. Those of us who on Social Security, we have a raise coming up. Some of us would get it in December checks. Some of us would get it in the January checks. But what is not known, because of that cost of living uh, increase, that is going to put some of us in a higher tax bracket. And because of being put in that higher tax bracket, there are going to be some senior citizens that are going to have to pay taxes on the Social Security, which I think is preposterous. Uh, we have already paid taxes on what is earned, so I don't understand why we are having to pay tax on something that we have already been taxed on. That is one reason why it is most important that we understand what is transpiring, because if they can put that in, and most of us not knowing that there's a possibility that we're going to have to pay income tax on our Social Security, well, then there is no reason under the sun why they can't eliminate Social Security altogether. Now, at one time, I felt that, well, it's impossible, but I thought it was impossible for the orange tangerine idiot to be elected. And we see that he was elected. And we see the turmoil that he has brought about. We see the turmoil that is still here because of his creation. So those of us who are on Social Security, we have to be most aware of who is representing us and who is speaking for us. Because those of us who are on Social Security know that what we receive really isn't enough. So we need individuals that are in the Congress, that are in the Senate, that is going to do what is best for us and not what's best for them. It is unacceptable for the pharmaceutical companies to have the same medicine in Canada to charge less for that medicine that is located here in the United States. Lobbyists are just legal bribers, legal blackmailers. So when you have a pharmaceutical company that is taking the legislators, your Congress and your senators out to eat and to fund their campaigns, that's bribery. Because listen, I'm going to take you out to eat and I'm going to offer you this amount for your next campaign. But if I do this, you're going to have to do that. That's bribery. And in some cases, it could be blackmail. So I think that the lobbyist tactics should be regulated. I think it should be non and void. There is no reason why the coal mine should have any say when it comes to the environment. If you're a coal miner, I can understand that, but at the same time, you have a government that is responsible for its consistency, that is responsible for its citizenship. So if you're going to cut the transmission of coal, well, then you should have some type of program that you can re-educate these individuals to go into another field, so that way they won't be so scared about losing their livelihood. So there's a balance. If I take something away from you, I should be able to give you something back, and that is the responsibility of the government. Just like when it came up to COVID, if it had been handled properly, there's no reason why the United States could not have been closed down, and then the government would offer some type of supplement to those families to make sure that they're adequately taken care of, so that way there isn't this fear. Now, when you know that you worked your hardest and you've done the best to make a living for your family, to support your family, it is a terrifying feeling for you to understand that I'm going to have to close my business now. And if I close my business now, where am I going to get the money? Where am I going to get the resources to take care, or the finances to take care of my family? So see, that's where the government dropped the ball, because you had inadequate, incompetent individuals that were in power. Just because you are a millionaire, just because you are a veteran, just because you are a former law enforcement individual, does not mean that you're actually qualified for the job that you're running for. And see, here in Birmingham, here in Jefferson County, we have this type of habit of voting on popularity and not voting on experience. And that's where the problems run in. That just because you have a legacy, that your granddaddy was a preacher and that your daddy's a preacher and that you're a preacher, or that you hold some type of prominent position, that you're qualified to serve in a district as a leader. That is not true. You want individuals who have receipts, who have the experience, who have been visible, who have been viable in that community, who have always been there in the community working hand in hand. But yet, as history dictates, we always want to have nepotism. You always, usually, if you're a mayor, and you have a cousin or something, you put. I don't, just because your cousin is a mayor, does not mean that you're going to be sufficient, and you're going to know the assignment when it comes to your district. What have you done in the district? I mean, and then you have the Greeks that, because of popularity, just because someone is in the Greek fraternity or sorority does not mean that they're qualified. Or it's just because you're in the Masonic order does not make you qualified. Do you have the receipts to dictate? Did you know the assignment when it comes to your district, when it comes to your community? So just because you are in an organization, or just because your family is part of a clerical regime, as you wish to call, does not mean that you're qualified. But we have the tendency of voting for those individuals because of popularity and not because of expertise. And there's something wrong in that dynamic. I don't care about your daddy being a preacher. I don't even care about your granddaddy being a preacher. I don't really care about you being a preacher. What have you done in your community, in your district to improve? Do you know the issues? Do you know the concerns? Do you know the problems? Do you have solutions to those issues, problems, and concerns? Now, just because you're a preacher and everyone in the community know that you're a whore and that you practically have slept with everybody in your congregation, much less in your district, does not mean that you know the issues, the concerns, and the problems in your district. You're just a proud peacock that wants to add to his resume that, yes, I served in the legislature. Okay, so you served in the legislature, but what did you do in the legislature to improve your district? Only you know. You can be the fantastic individual. You can have the camaraderie. You can have the rapport. You can have the suave. You can all have all of this and be a fantastic individual, but you're not worth nothing when it comes to being a leader or when it becomes administrator. I have over 25 years in the Birmingham city system. I've seen superintendents come and go. I've seen administrators come and go. I've been in schools where professors have written books, renowned books. Other professors are using their books in their classrooms. But when it comes to teaching, the professor couldn't teach. 90% of teaching is personality. The other 10% is your curriculum. I would even go as far to say that really 99% of teaching is personality and 1% is your core. Same way when it comes to a preacher. Same way when it comes to being in the Masonic order or being in the Greek society, whether it's a fraternity or sorority. I don't care about you being a Sigma. I don't care about you being an Alpha, an Omega, or a Kappa, aka Delta, Sigma, Gamma, Rho. I don't care. Zeta, Phi, Beta. Don't care. Do you have receipts? Have you been a participant, an active participant, a viable participant, a visible participant, accessibility? Have you had the people seen and work with you in the community? I will wager 90% of the time they have not. So just because you are a vet, just because you have military experience, law enforcement experience, because you've been in the Greek sorority or fraternity, the Masonic order, been a preacher, that does not mean that you're qualified for the position that you run for or that you won. And whoever voted for you deserves everything that you cannot give them because you don't have the experience. You don't have the know-how. You don't know the issues because you have not been in that district. And just because your parents or your relatives at one time were politically involved does not mean that that characteristic has transferred to you. I call them name brands. These are individuals who run on the coattail of their relatives. And they do not have what it takes to be a productive, a positive candidate, a positive representative. You're just a showcase. You're a name brand. What are you offering to your district? What are you offering to your city? That should be the most important thing. What are you bringing to the table? That should be your thing. But that's why it is most important. It is most pivotal. It's vital that we understand exactly what the assignment is, what is the requirement, and what is being done for us. It is going to be really interesting in November to see if these crackpots are elected into these offices. It is a frightening thought to think that Herschel Walker has a possibility of being a senator for the state of Georgia. Or the two ladies being put back into office, or even Kemp being put back as governor. It's really frightening. You can Google and to find out what is the average age of the individuals that are in Congress and in the Senate. Don't be scared. Don't be surprised at the age. You have individuals that have been holding office for 40 years. 40 years. Give 40 years. You have been in Congress for 40 years. Why? Why? And then you have individuals that are on the Supreme Court that have no business to be on the Supreme Court. Because, see, now you're seeing that there should be some type of requirement, some type of qualification when it comes to holding certain offices. There should be some type of canons that are there so that way you have individuals like Clarence Thomas that has to excuse himself from hearing a case because there's a conflict of interest. See, there's nothing in the canons, there's nothing in the rules that say that you have to excuse yourself. So it's left up to us to make sure that we are aware of the individuals that claim that they want to talk for us, they want to stand up for us. Because in most cases, they're liars. And that's one thing that we have to research and we have to get a better understanding, a better grips on. So it's really frightening to think of the direction that we might go into. And it might get to the point to where we may have to go back to the old days, to where you have generations or extended families moving in together to make ends meet. That we may have to go back to growing our own food, canning. And I would wager that the majority of us, you don't know the process it takes to can or to freeze vegetables. Most of us don't even know how to grow vegetables, much less flowers. So it's a time of awakening. COVID should have woke some of us up immediately, but I see that it did not. I see in some cases it just allowed individuals to hide their heads in the sand because they didn't want to deal with it. But it's coming. You're going to have to deal with it. Or someone's going to deal with it for you, and it's not going to be the proper way or the correct way for you. We have got to quit being apathetic. It's time for us to stand up and make our sense known. Look at what's happening over in Iran. You finally have individuals who are standing up to the male chauvinistic regime. Because before the Shah was murdered, women had the rights of any other woman. But after the Shah was murdered, then you had these religious fanatics to come in to change the landscape, to change the political landscape of what was transpiring. And now because of the lady being murdered, people have finally gotten tired. And see, that is what some of the Christians, and I use that term loosely, here is trying to do. They're trying to say that their religious freedom is being taken away from them, where it is not. They are taking their religious freedom away from everybody else. They're portraying themselves as victims, which is typical for a white person. A white person would flip the script on you in a heartbeat, whereas they are the victim. And you're wondering, like, give me a break. Are you serious? You were the one that initiated this. You were the one that refused to back down and thought that we were going to allow you to rule us and run over us. Them days are gone. What was allowed back during our great-grandparents' day and our grandparents' day and our parents, we're not going to allow you to do that now. But see, the same issues and problems that were faced back then, we're now facing now because they were never rectified. It was never settled. There was never a clear understanding. When you have the civil rights bill to always have to come back to be voted on, that shows you right there that things haven't changed. When you have, like, the state of Alabama going to the Supreme Court saying that we think that everything is fine with the way that the districts are drawn, when you know that it is not. And then especially when it comes to the 14th Amendment, then you know things haven't changed. When you see Karens running amok, being too bold, too bodacious, thinking that they can say, do whatever they want without a fear of retribution or consequences, that should tell you that things are worse. And if the Republican Party gains control of the Senate and or the Congress, don't even wish to think about it. And then for those of you to say that, well, my vote won't count, you don't know if your vote will count or not because you never voted. But it is definitely going to affect those who are on some type of social assistance, because when and if the Republican Party gains control again, they're wiping out social services. So you do what you feel you need to do. So, but that's what you have before you. What Trump has started, what Trump has created, is going to take a long time to rectify because you still have that fringe, you have that fragment that is still prevalent. And it is a shame that such a small, minute fragment has wielded so much power because we have allowed it. But at what detriment? How long is it going to take us to wake up to understand that he has no good fortune when it comes to democracy or any one of his followers? And those of you who have white friends, you most definitely need to be cautious of what is transpiring now because it's really frightening to think that you have the majority of Republicans and you have white friends, but yet the Republicans always voted in. So if you have white friends that are voting for the Republican Party, they're voting against your interest. And yes, you can smile in their face all that you want to. When it comes down to the bigger picture, they will turn on you in a heartbeat. They will act as if they never knew you. But yet you wish to run up in their faces and smile, and you're technically the only black in the neighborhood, or the black only in the group. And these blonde-headed, blue-eyed, bleach-blinded individuals are laughing and cooing and chit-chatting and chi-chi-chiing and all that in your face, when all in actuality they cannot stand you. Your children play with individuals that are being trained, that is being taught by individuals who basically slap your child in a heartbeat. And whether or not you wish to accept the fact or not, it is what it is. Because if you have not sat down with your friends and you have not talked openly about what do you think about Trump? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? What do you think about critical thinking? What do you think about that? If you haven't sat down with your friends, well, then you have a crude awakening coming. Crude awakening. Because when the tires hit the track, white folks are always going to do what they feel is best for them. They could care less about you being a black. But yet you want to run in their face and you want to chi-chi and chow-chow. Yes, your children have spent the night with each other. Yes, your children are best friends. They have grown up together. Yes, you have gone all the way through high school and all that. And then you were the best man or bridesmaid in their wedding. And then all of a sudden you realize that they were never your friends initially. And you deserve everything that you get from that because you should have known. You should have known. I know for a fact that the friends that I have my back. I know for a fact that my friends know that I have their back. I know for a fact that when it comes down to it, that I will probably be the first one to be beaten up or killed because of my political opinions, because of my viewpoints. Because in the white community, some people will look at me as being a traitor. It is what it is. I do not back down. What you see is what you get. So, you have to be cautious. You have to make sure that you are aware of your surroundings and those individuals that you feel are in your corner or in your circle. You enrolled your children in a white dance troupe. There's nothing wrong with that. But I know of a black dance troupe that is of the same caliber same level of concentration and expertise. You claim to be woke, but you're asleep. You would rather celebrate St. Patrick's Day instead of celebrating Kwanzaa. You would rather celebrate the white holidays, affiliate yourself with white establishments. You have the Black Bread Company that has excellent bread, black owned. 1187, water, black owned. Signature shoes, signature soles, black owned. Alicia Coffee, black owned. You have all these individuals, all these entrepreneurs. I come from a high school in which all of the alumni are successful in their own right. They cover every gambit, every type of craft, every type of profession that you can have out there. Cover it. There's no reason why Huffman High School alumni have to go anywhere else, because all they have to do is look within themselves and they find somebody. We have lawyers, we have doctors, we have meteorologists, we have cosmetologists, we have barbers, we have breeders, landscapers, entrepreneurs, business owners, bazaar, coffee bar, black owned. Fantastic place to go to. You just need to get away. Fantastic atmosphere. We have videographers, we have photographers, choreographers. You name it, we got it. Musicians. We have even award-winning musicians from Huffman High School. We have individuals that are producers, that are engineers, that have their own studios, that are connected well, computer programmers, computer websites. And as I mentioned earlier, black historians would tell you that blacks did not wish to be integrated with white folks. They did not want to be integrated. They wanted equity. They wanted the same funding, the same resources that the white schools had, they wanted for the black schools. And what is so magnificent, so marvelous, is that you had the largest black high school in the United States, that even though they received the worst of the worst when it came to materials, when it came to equipment, when it came to resources, you had teachers that were so dedicated, so motivated, so knowledgeable, that they taught and educated, so that when an individual graduated from A.H. Parker High School, that individual was ready for the world. So sometimes it doesn't have to have the best of the best. You just have to have the dedication to achieve what you want. Teachers knew the assignment back then. They accepted the assignment. I was blessed to have attended an HBCU, Alabama State University. I was actively involved on campus, off campus. I was in everything I was allowed to be a part of, which was everything. It's time to go back to the basics. It's time for, if you're a native Birminghamian, it's time for you to teach the younger generation the history of your family, the history of Birmingham. It is understood, and it should be understood, that Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth was a father, was a creator, was a developer of the Birmingham March, the Birmingham campaign. It was not Dr. King. It was Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth. It was Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth that introduced Birmingham to King, or King to Birmingham, because Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth was the one that invited Dr. King to Birmingham, because he knew that if King came to Birmingham, King would bring the media. And this is the first time in which the media was used to, in the way that it was used. Same way when it came to the Vietnam War. The media, the television brought all these travesties to the homes of individuals. Because you would not have thought, you would not have believed what was transpiring, what was happening in Birmingham. Dogs being attacked, younger children, fire hoses being turned on them, being thrown in jail, a church being bombed, 4 young black girls killed, 1 injured. And we don't even talk about her, which is a travesty. Something the mayor or the city council should at least and I hate the word token, but should at least do something. Either do something financially. There's no reason that Birmingham is in the predicament it's in, because it has the resources, it has the knowledge, it has those individuals who have the expertise to achieve whatever they wish. But no, you would rather have a mayor who wants to be a celebrity instead of being an administrator. Wants to grin in all these celebrities' faces, but has no substance, has no foundation. But it is what it is. It is what it is. So, bigger picture, big question. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Because you have the power to make the changes that is required and necessary. You know what the assignment is. You know what the requirements are. Now, are you going to be diligent in doing what is required? Or are you just going to sit back and allow, oh, what may? It's left up to you. It's left up to you, whatever you wish to do. So, Mr. Brooks must have gotten busy. And again, I want to do a huge shout out to Mr. Brooks, because I appreciate him so much for taking the time out when he can, because he's always busy, and for him to make time, I'm totally indebted to him forever, and especially what he did for my kids while we were getting ready for the competition. Because without his guidance, without his motivation and determination and dedication to come over to Huffman on a Saturday, 8 o'clock in the morning, we practiced from 8 to 12. Sometimes it was 9 to 12. For Mr. Brooks to come after a busy time, a busy week, to come to my classroom and to go over to review those questions. Because, see, if you don't know anything about the mock congressional hearing, there's a book that accompanies the competition. The book has 6 units. And in the book, there are 3 questions that are assigned per unit. And so there are 6 groups of 3. And each one of the groups have those 3 questions to research. And they have to research those questions. So that way they become experts in those questions. And once we have competition, students do not know what question is going to be asked. And so they have to be able to explain. And then once they have explained, then they have to have the knowledge and the capability of answering questions that is being put forth to them from the judges. And usually they're between 2 and 3 judges that ask the students questions to see if they're able to explain. It is a dynamic competition. Huffman was the only high school in the Birmingham City school system for, I think, 4 or 5 years. And then I finally got, I think, one other high school to come in. But I have to note enthusiastically, without any type of remorse, that Ramsey never competed. Ramsey never competed. Ramsey High School is supposed to be the creme de la creme of the school system. It's supposed to be the better of the students. And in most cases, they aren't any better than anybody else. My students were better than Ramsey High School. And I don't wish to hear anybody come and say, well, I did talk about your alma mater because it weren't about anything. It's not open for debate. I'm not even going to debate it for you because I have facts, I have receipts to show that you didn't have an AP class when it came to government or economics until I wanted the classes over at Huffman. And then my syllabus was used. It was shared to all the high schools. My syllabus. Because it was given to the other department heads by the program specialist, Dr. Jackson. So, don't tell me, because I have enough of receipts that I can showcase. So, again, if you have not done so, please like, share, follow Smash Bros Radio. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on YouTube. You can also find us on Facebook. I am OZZz. You can find me on TikTok. TikTok, I think it's OZZz1960. On Twitter, I think it's the AMs with Humes. On Facebook, it's OZZz. On Instagram, it's OZZz_show. And on YouTube, it's OZZz. The YouTube channel or YouTube page isn't up and running, but please, it won't do me any harm for you to go and like, follow. So I appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all for allowing me to come in. KD Dunn is coming up next. Please do not forget about the Fall Festival tonight over at Pleasant Groves High School. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's an old-fashioned fall festival. So come out, support, show yourself, introduce yourself to KD. KD is one of 3 or one of 2 black councilmen, the first black councilman of Pleasant Grove. And so he's a dynamic individual. I love him and his family. His wife, Crystal, has Berries by Crystal, as well as they have a mobile service that is fantastic. So please check them out. Berries by Crystal, KD Dunn, and he has a show after mine, Done It. He brings a lot of insight, especially when it comes to the political arena. Fantastic family. I love them tremendously. And I appreciate them tremendously, like I appreciate my Smash Bros Radio family. And again, I appreciate y'all for allowing me to come in. Mr. Brooks must have gotten busy because he would have called in if he wasn't caught up in something. So again, I appreciate him. I appreciate you. Know your value. Know your worth. Know that you are the obstacle that prevents you from doing anything. And most importantly, you know that I love you more than I love my luggage. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm having Irish Wolf. Happy birthday on the show tomorrow. He's going to talk about the event that's coming up. So tune in for tomorrow for Wednesday. And I will see you tomorrow. Y'all take care. Peace. The live stream on the show. On the show. The live stream. On the show. The live stream. The live stream on the show.